Number 20 is Wife by G Idol. Now listen, I want to start this by saying that I love this song, but even if I didn't, it would still find a way on this list in every universe and every timeline, purely over the fact that people get genuinely upset that I praise this song in any capacity. I love it. It is ridiculous and ornery, but not for no reason. I understand people who take measured approaches to the state of this song when considering what the rest of G Idol's discography has to offer. Comparing a song like Wife with other tracks like Uh-Oh, I can see the perspective that some people have against it. I don't condemn the well-intentioned criticism Wife gets by saying that I like this song, but I also would suggest that songs like this contribute to the health of K-pop's colorful integrity. Wife is goofy and childish. That's not a style that resonates with everyone, but the simple sentiment of this song just isn't for me is not where most people stop in regards to this song and group as a whole. I can't understand people who argue that this song is entirely nonsense, and I completely lose patience for people who say Soyeon is not a good producer and songwriter and should never be allowed to step inside a studio ever again. I'm not really interested in arguing over this. There's an obvious effort behind all of Wife's goofiness. Maybe the value of a song like this will reveal itself over time, maybe it won't. I wouldn't be surprised if G Idol continues to be the principal battleground in regards to some individuals' irrational stubbornness and tendency to go out of their way to hate things that aren't to their tastes with a fury like no other. I appreciate this song for the handful of layers it provides. I love how unserious it is, the flippant production and vocal performance. Wife is all the sentiments and allegory of Queen Card condensed into a primordial state that is beyond providing nuance to the topics of inequality it wants to address. Underneath this song's universal silliness is a resting and palpable anger. It's the kind of art that G Idol wants to be releasing, and I am certainly personally on board for it. Number 19, Deja Vu by TXT. I love TXT and their emo boy band bag, in which Deja Vu fully brings us back to the emo highs of Loser Lover and Love Song. Deja Vu is an angsty pop rock, post-apocalyptic techno soundscape, and I think more than any TXT track really showcases their ability to be vocally expressive. There's a slight wavering to their voices in the chorus, and I don't mean this in a bad way when I say it's reminiscent of the cursive styles of singing we see from artists like Halsey. A song with these levels of angst certainly benefits from this kind of vocal style, as if they're suppressing whatever strong emotions they feel in order to get this message across. The whole Minisode 3 Tomorrow project feels like a nice return to form for this group. Very intricate storytelling via the teasers and music video. I do agree that Deja Vu could have been longer. This song would have done well to have a more developed bridge, but regardless of that, it has become one of my favorite TXT title tracks to this day. I love when they put the emo hats on. Number 18, Valentine by Pow. I think I brought this song up in my Noise music video, yet another entry that makes me raise my eyebrow whenever people say all boy groups are releasing noise music. Valentine is a light and airy pure pop song that explores a handful of different genres. I would say it is most prominently in the garage genre territory. It makes effective use of the drum and bass percussion sections. I will say, I feel the sting of the song shortening epidemic in K-pop when we get to the final section of this song. The softness this song conveys comes full circle in the moment they're all chanting. I really wish those last 15 or so seconds would have been expanded into something more. I think that's my favorite part of the song. Number 17 is Bubblegum by NewJeans. Out of the 4 NewJeans tracks that were released this year, Bubblegum is the track I return to most often. It provides some context to the overall laid-back atmosphere of both EPs they released in 2024. Bubblegum also does quite well to develop the core of their entire artistic identity in subtle ways. I just talked about this, but I believe a big component to NewJeans' aloof and whimsical concept is their playing with the definition and cultural outcomes of the Y2K aesthetic. Bubblegum's universal focus on the 90s, both sonically and visually, are oddly interrupted with scenes of them using iPhones and the group's own light stick. As long as it would take for me to fully outline my thoughts on this, NewJeans using an iPhone in the 1990s is the broad scope of their inherent concept. I won't elaborate on this at this time. Bubblegum is a soft and dreamlike track that takes its time. A welcome change to some after the hustle and bustle of the Get Up EP from the previous year, but it's also criticized for the exact same reasons. Maybe Bubblegum is a little too laid back, not strong or engaging enough to be a title track. I don't really have a strong opinion on this one way or the other, especially considering all 4 songs that were released were promoted in some capacity. I think NewJeans has long purchased the ability to release songs such as Bubblegum that are atmospheric in nature, a bit dissociated from the performance requirements of music in the K-pop industry. This song feels like it's an obscure movie you find on VHS tape in an attic that hasn't been touched since the 1990s. Number Number 16 is Walk by NCT127. I need to start this by saying that literally just today, I was in Hobby Lobby and did Johnny's, whoa, 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 whoa part in the middle of the store. I did not think there was anybody around, but there was in fact an older woman buying art supplies who witnessed me say that to myself. I don't expect you to do anything with this information. I just needed to tell someone who might be able to understand literally the most embarrassing moment of my life in a lot of ways. But anyways, Walk is NCT in their prime. It is the nexus of neoculture technology as it explores early 2000s pop and hip-hop genres in unique and dynamic detail. NCT having good production, fork found in kitchen, but I feel as though it merits praise all on its own. Walk is quite unique, even by SM standards. It takes a lot of risks by way of how it gives itself almost entirely to the early 2000s hip-hop soundscape. For as much music as the NCT collective releases, it's kind of insane to think about when considering releases like this, that they still have the potential to do new and surprising things after all these years. Those low synths that litter the whole song add such a sinister feeling to the track. NCT are here to walk in their own lane, creating their own strides in the music industry. This song's commitment to exploring and modernizing different areas of early 2000s hip-hop is entirely emblematic of that sentiment and the neoculture technology brand as a whole. Number 15, Cheeky Icy Thing by Stacey. It was a toss-up between this and GPT, and in a stunning turn of events, Cheeky Icy Thing has pulled through. This song's relationship to the Metamorphic album and how that project was presented via its teasers genuinely gave me whiplash. It's a case study in what we can call teaser fishing, but dare I say, enough production work was done to justify these levels of conceptual whiplash. I was expecting a song in a similar vein to Stereotype, in which Cheeky Icy Thing of course is nothing of the sort, as this album sets out to explain the quite unpredictable realities of maturing into a young adult. The brutish, mechanized, and childish nature of Cheeky Icy Thing kills the bridge between childhood and adulthood, causing both stages of life to collapse into each other. This is the concept of the album's namesake, metamorphic. Stacey will repurpose or reforge the meaning of growing up into something that matches their current taste and style, even if the world around them has to fall apart in the process. They're gonna get what they want and live in their own way. As the months have gone on and I've been able to sit with the song for a while, it does make sense in time, and in a way that I can really appreciate this song for what it is. Cheeky Icy Thing is a radical extension of Stacey's existing sound, heavy in reference to Run to You specifically. It works, in a way, albeit a very stubborn way. Number 14, Apata by Rose and Bruno Mars. I think the efficacy of this song in retrospect is that it's fun and simple. I could really stop there, but genuinely, I've come to appreciate songs that are lighthearted and don't overthink things. This type of rhetoric in music and lyricism is something that we've kind of lost from the 2010s or maybe even late 2000s, and so bringing this very fun and simple pop rock sound back with a K-pop flair has been a genuine treat. This song has yet to get old to me in any way. It's not what I expected from Rose or Bruno Mars, but as far as it exists to be the first big push from Rose as an independent artist, it shows us a side to her that was never explored throughout Blackpink and her previous solo projects. Apata builds incredibly well. The final chorus ends the song with soaring background vocals. It's a perfect pure pop track that rises up to a triumphant crescendo of vocals and instrumentation. Number 13, Nectar by The Boys. I've talked about Nectar a couple of times in passing on this channel, but it is truly the sound and style I'm looking for out of boy groups personally. It's not a unique soundscape for K-pop by any means. This kind of easygoing, atmospheric, and sentimental production has been explored by many groups in the past year or so, but I'm of the opinion that Nectar by The Boys does it the best in regards to boy groups. I'm very partial to up-tempo pop songs that sound like they'd be on an OST in a coming-of-age drama series. Nectar's dreamy and heartbreaking atmosphere documents the uneasy but hopeful feelings that come with realizing that your childhood is coming to an end. Growing up is scary universally, but the narrative of Nectar outlines that you can tinge that fear with a measurable amount of hope in order to embrace the real world with courage and determination on your way to becoming an adult, whatever that means. The song and music video present a feeling that I haven't been able to move on from, a narrative about moving on in life to fully realize your own potential, and the fear that comes from understanding that you'll need to push yourself beyond that threshold to become that person you imagine. Again, I'm partial to songs like this from the get-go, but even beyond that, I really appreciate the attention to detail this song received in all aspects of its release. Number 12, Debut by Cat's Eye. If you don't know, I've been in an ongoing dispute or battle with a crowd of individuals who are very hurt. Then I made a joke comparing Lisa to Shakespeare. I don't have time to get into it, but for the crowd of Shakespeare stans, if you happen to be here, I'm going to link the original video in the description, and I invite you to find where I said that I didn't like this song, or where I said the song was bad. The reason why I made that global group lyricism video was to express that I think the lyrics of Debut aren't strong enough to market towards global and specifically Western audiences. I never said the song or the lyrics were bad, I just said that they weren't serviceable to the songwriting standards of what we see out of Western pop music today. Debut is a performance-heavy track which markets towards K-pop fans very well, in which I happen to be a fan of K-pop. I love this song, but can also set aside my personal enjoyment of it to give some constructive criticism in regards to promoting Cat's Eye towards global audiences. That's where I was coming from in regards to Shakespeare Gate. Moving that aside, Debut is a very well-constructed song that introduces Cat's Eye to music listeners who would already be on board for the concept of a girl group. It's very reminiscent of girl groups of the past, references to the production colors and vocal tones of groups like Fifth Harmony, who along with Little Mix were one of the last bastions of girl group listeners who may or may not have jumped on board for the K-pop train after their inactivity. Debut as a song has gusto? I've never used that word before, but I think it's appropriate to describe what's going on here. There's a gusto or power to its instrumental that gives off quite an imposing vibe. It synthesizes the sound and style of girl groups throughout history, those intermission la 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 sections championing this cause most effectively. That strumming string synth ties all of this together, exuding an effortlessly cool vibe to the song and its performers. I do definitely wish there was a bridge. That's my only personal qualm with Debut. Number 11, Crazy by LE SSERAFIM. That knocking synth at the start of the song, Sakura walking sideways with a bunch of lampshade hooded dancers, sets the scene with remarkable precision. Patience has already run out by the time this song starts. If you believe LE SSERAFIM to be crazy, they're gonna show you crazy. Not only is it on theme when considering the vitriol they faced this year, but the project takes time to really honor the styles it pulls from, working with the House of Juicy Couture, the odd but narratively on-point video sets and outfits, the Galileo statues, Yoonjin pronouncing all the gyeos Gaeling with an Essex accent. The development of this concept is thorough, a quality that has been slipping through our fingers as the years go by, but it's projects like these that give me a lot of hope going forward. I know not everyone will agree, but I truly believe songs like this are helping to preserve the more unserious aspects to K-pop. The answer to our unserious concept crisis, as songs like Crazy work to outline, is to present the unserious topics in a very serious way. When Sakura says she's an otaku bestie, or when Chaewon compares herself to Pikachu, they're dead serious about it as part of LE SSERAFIM's commitment to the performance of this song. This plays in line with the overall sentiment of going crazy if that's what will allow you to be yourself authentically and pursue the vision you have of and for yourself. If it makes you look crazy in the eyes of others in the process, then so be it. It doesn't have to make sense to anyone but you. Crazy, as it can be generally described as an EDM club banger, is not necessarily that crazy when considering the standards of the genres it pulls from. Crazy is actually quite subdued instrumentally in that regard, but the vocal performance and stylization of the song makes up for it by the end, for me personally. The lush but insanely brief string samples, again the British accent invoked for some of the chorus refrain sections, it all comes together quite nicely. The song musically sets a great foundation for how LE SSERAFIM can approach new styles of music going forward, so long as the areas they explore and pull from are worked with thoroughly and tie back to the experiences, thoughts, and feelings of the members in some ways. I think that's a recipe for success. Number 10, Dash by NMIXX. Of course, this song was going to be here. I have talked about Dash at every opportunity I could this year. It was a bold move to continue with the mix pop sound after the backlash from their debut, coupled with the great reception that Love Me Like This and the Midsummer NMIXX's Dream EP got, but their commitment to exploring their original divisive style is what adds so much cultural weight to this release. I genuinely think this is one of the standout releases from 4th gen K-pop to this day for that reason. It would have been all too easy for NMIXX to strike deeper into the vein of music that earned them a lot of renown and success, but continuing to develop their original musical identity and concept is going to allow them to establish themselves as truly unique and an insanely valuable asset to K-pop in the coming years. Dash's hip-hop and jazz influences merge together with NMIXX's incredible vocal abilities to deliver a truly thematic performance overall. The narrative of wanting to break free of any inhibitions and dash towards your goals fits well with the song's inability to stay the same for too long at any given point. Even the progression of the individual verses are slightly different from each other. There's a feeling of restlessness that builds up to the choruses and change-up sections. Again, very thematic to the overall concept of wanting to dash towards whatever you have in sight. Number 9, Untouchable by ITZY. For as much as I have barked like a rabid dog about Mr. Vampire this year, Untouchable deserves its flowers. In a similar way to Mr. Vampire, and perhaps in even stronger ways, Untouchable plays to the vocal and performance strengths of ITZY in great ways. It's a song that lends itself to their carefree and self-confident identity. Those bum bum bumbity sections in the post-chorus don't explain themselves because they don't have to be explained. ITZY are untouchable in this moment, near invincible, and this song's instrumental energy backs them up on this sentiment. It's the perfect song to translate ITZY's identity into the current generation, but unfortunately came at quite an inconvenient time in ITZY's career. Untouchable's full potential was sadly never realized, exclusively to the fault of JYP Entertainment, but at its core, this song is incredibly solid. It's the essence of ITZY and K-pop. I wish it would have been given the time of day, the attention to detail conceptually that it's so deserved. I hope something can be done about the division that works behind ITZY. Putting that aside, Untouchable in all its untapped potential is maybe one of the best ITZY title tracks in my opinion. It's truly a song that showcases ITZY's dynamic as a group and proves that they don't always need a dance break to give a compelling performance. Untouchable is it. Number 8 is I Got You by Twice. I love the genre of sisterhood when it comes to Twice. There's a growing number of songs in their discography that have double meanings both towards fans and among Twice themselves, the appreciation they feel and dependency they have on another in order to keep going. I think I Got You is the best in a handful of categories as it relates to Twice. It's my current favorite of the sisterhood genre and is a really nice adaptation of Twice's retro sound. It's a simple song that does what it sets out to do very well. It makes sense why Twice advocated for this track to be a single. I think it opens the narrative of the With Youth album as well as this next chapter of Twice's career in a very effective way. The music video has a budget, it sets the atmosphere for this song in all the right ways. The cold ocean voyage is made all the more bearable with the camaraderie and support of the 8 other people around them. I Got You is an overall outstanding Twice release that I haven't been able to move on from. Number 7, I'm Ready by Chungha. This song is a performance piece in every sense. In a similar way to Stay Tonight, I'm Ready features every aspect of Chungha that makes her the best of the best at what she does in the music industry. She has the vocal and performance dynamic to match the insanely demanding energy of a track like this. After ending a pretty tumultuous period with her old label, Chungha returns to the stage as if she never left. She never truly did leave, but was held down for a while by the unfortunate realities of the business side of the music industry. I'm Ready is the perfect explosive catalyst to reignite the fiery passion of her as a solo artist. It makes perfect sense at this moment in her career and elevates her artistry in all the right ways. A common criticism of the song is that it's too repetitive, but given the inspirations she pulls from, her background in dance, the genre of this deep house track is meant to have repetitive sections for the purposes of performance. I think I love the pre-choruses the most, the feeling of suspense just before we metaphorically hit the stage in the chorus. This song feels as though everything is at stake. Whatever you do next, you must do it with all the passion and fury you have to give. The intensity of this song is addictive. It can paint a confident narrative for any high-stress situation you find yourself in. Number 6, Heya by IVE. Relatively speaking, IVE had a pretty quiet year in 2024, much to their benefit. I think this is the best year to have laid low while the industry was imploding. While IVE Switch was incredibly successful, I'm a little sad that Heya especially wasn't given the credit I believe it deserved. IVE's tendency to never stay in the same place for too long is something that I believe is going to afford them a lot of staying power in the K-pop industry. Heya is a slow-moving Korean folklore-inspired track with a lot of tenacity. It's not a likely match on paper for the group who brought us Love Dive and Afterlike, but this is what makes their moves in K-pop all the more interesting and unique. This is what causes people to keep showing up to IVE's projects to see what they do next. Heya's lyrical and visual development of the Korean folktale The Tiger Who Loved the Sun is such a unique and creative stride in K-pop, especially today. Demjoints was the perfect collaborator for this kind of song as well. The weighty percussion accompanied by the chanting in the choruses, dynamic singing and rapping in the verses, this song is an event all on its own. IVE's last 2 projects, IVE Mine and IVE Switch, are some of the best contributions to K-pop in the current generation. IVE knows how to present a project through, and Heya is probably the best example we have to this day. I think Heya's unique value will increase over time as people start to identify IVE as arguably the best of the best in the current day when it comes to conceptual development. They're in a position of power and influence in all their incredible success where they are the ones who set the standards and trends, and releases like IVE Switch lead by such a great example. Number 5, ABCD by Nayeon, the extended version, of course. I feel like there's not much else I can say that I didn't cover in my original video about it. Nayeon's commitment to the origins of pop music that K-pop was largely established on is such a breath of fresh air, despite how intrinsically retro-inspired this track is by the end. ABCD is unlike anything else I've heard or seen out of K-pop or pop music this whole year. There's a dedication to the production and performance craft that all of Twice have seemingly tethered their identity to going forward. Nayeon decides to develop her image and sound by focusing on giving an even stronger and dynamic performance than what we saw of pop in 2022. ABCD's many different sections, inspired by the versatility of the early 2000s R&B and dance pop soundscapes, allow Nayeon to challenge herself in being a truly dynamic performer. I've said it before, but all the members of Twice have such a clear reverence for the integrity and sanctity of pure pop music that strengthens with each release. It's genuinely what I've come to appreciate about this group the most. Number 4, Cosmic by Red Velvet. Yet another yearly reminder that K-pop isn't quite the same without Red Velvet. Cosmic, in all its whimsical and equally as scary features, is somewhat expected. After releases like Birthday and Chill Kill, the sonic and narrative elements to Cosmic are not surprising. It all makes perfect sense for a group like Red Velvet, but this song transforms all of those elements into something truly meaningful. This is Red Velvet's inherent superpower. They don't just pick up concepts and themes to wear them like costumes. Red Velvet embodies whatever it is they incorporate into their artistry. So while Cosmic isn't a surprising concept for Red Velvet, who has historically been largely unpredictable in their artistic movements, it still manages to feel new and satisfying because of the work that is done. A series of different string instruments throughout the song set the scene of this story, whether it be the plucked guitar and heavy bass in the verses or the orchestral strings in the chorus. Each one plays its part in progressing this unsettling cosmic narrative. Disco-esque strings fill the chorus with an air of unease. Red Velvet's reserved demeanor in the verses, backed by that thrumming bass, are abandoned in favor of an eerie and urging presence. Those hasty chorus strings tell us that time is of the essence, and whatever Red Velvet were suggesting in the verses has now turned into more of a demand. It all inspires a sinking feeling, as Red Velvet, the ever unreliable narrators in their own stories, urge you towards unmentioned motives. Now a decade into their career, Red Velvet's staying power stresses the foundational importance of style when it comes to K-pop. Their ability to release songs that can be described as uniquely Red Velvet is a genuine career feat. They simply know what to do when given a concept and how best to execute it. In an industry that really struggles with concept development universally, Red Velvet makes all of it look effortless. Number 3, Lucky Girl Syndrome by Islet. The power of Lucky Girl Syndrome is equal parts shimmering instrumental sections, equal parts vocal delivery. Islet really meets the concept of the song where it is, that unnerving territory between wholesome and a little concerning. That's largely what the existing trend of Lucky Girl Syndrome is at its core. Resting just underneath the hope of unnaturally good luck is an unavoidable request for absolute command over the willpower of those around you. After a year like 2024, I'm a little partial to songs that I can hand to someone who's never listened to K-pop before and tell them this is what K-pop is and feel confident in the material I'm giving them. Lucky Girl Syndrome is unabashedly vibrant, poppy, and multidimensional in its rhetoric. Not many K-pop songs in the current generation venture outside of the topics of love and being better than the competition. This is the most unique aspect to Islet's concept on full display, willing things into existence by means well beyond just believing in yourself, taking destiny and fate into your own hands however and wherever possible. Number 2, New Woman by Lisa and Rosalia. It has been 4 months since the song was released, and yet I still don't know how to accurately describe the feeling this song inspires. It's both the beautiful and ugly parts of growing up, the uncomfortable moments you have to burden in order to truly grow to the point of flourishing. Cutting your own development off at the root to continue growing is not an easy thing to do. Some people never get around the fear of doing it, and New Woman honors all of those feelings with stunning accuracy. I love every aspect of this song. I can't get over it. It's experimental in nature, especially for an artist like Lisa, who has been frankly stunted by the confines of being an artist at YG Entertainment. It's the perfect flagship song for her reintroduction to the world as a fully realized artist. Number 1, hopefully unsurprising, is Supernova by aespa. What is there left to say about this song? Supernova to me is all about stifled potential ready to explode into something bigger than you ever could have imagined for yourself, and the rage that comes before such a primal storm of emotions. I love the steady escalation of suppressed anger throughout this song. The end of each chorus gives a near shouted delivery on the word Nova. Like they're punching out the word before suppressing the rage to continue on. We get to the bridge, a brief moment of contemplation before things spiral wildly out of control. aespa chooses violence, the only viable avenue in this moment to put stock into themselves and evolve their own potential. The rage that brims to the surface throughout this entire song suddenly collapses during the dance break before exploding tenfold into the final refrain section. Screeching synths dig their claws into the instrumental as our narrator's untapped potential devours the solar system around it. So yeah, I would say it's a good song. There's very little I can say. There's very little I can emphasize or say outside of this is K-pop. It's my own personal hopes and wishes for what it looks and sounds like. As I said before, Supernova outlines that there's room for unserious concepts in K-pop, and aespa leads that charge in a lot of ways. As the #1 artist in K-pop today, they have the attention of the entire K-pop community and make incredible artistic choices with the kind of power and influence they have in their hands. And that's it. The best K-pop songs of 2024 in my opinion. Let me know what you think about this, your thoughts on the songs that I mentioned, and any other songs from this year that you would add to this list, and why. Thanks for watching this. If you did, subscribe if you want to, and I will see you next time.